Om Sri Ganeshaya Namah, Om Sri Jagannathaya Namah, Om Sri Paramatamane Namah. Namaskar. It has been some time since I created the last video on the Pancha Bhoota and the Trayo Guna. And in my last video, I kind of explained their significance in shaping our lives through our thoughts and actions. I also spoke about that that I would be creating a video on the characters of Ramayana and Mahabharata, and then understand the manifestations of these guna and the Panchabhuta through these characters, and so that we could understand more about the manifestations. However, before that, I thought that it will be more apt to create a video on coronavirus in the context of Kavacham. Currently, all of us are like waiting with like bated breath about when this corona is going to end, and like all of us are extremely worried about the health of our near and dear ones, about our own health and our family health. So we all need to know the importance of Kavacham, or Kavacham, which is also understood as the divine armor or the divine protection. But before I start the topic, I want to just quickly touch upon this is the holiest month, and this is the best. This is in fact the best month for starting or doing any spiritual practices. Because this month is dedicated to Lord Krishna, and it is dearest to Lord Krishna. So offering lamp to Lord Krishna and doing any kind of prayers or meditative practices, japas, will really give a great result. Of course, today is Dwadashi Tithi, and we'll have Purnami, Kartik Purnami on Monday. So hopefully, the next few days continue to light up our lives. Now to continue in this discussion, let us come to Corona, right? Before we go to the concept of Kavach. Corona has been a great event in our lives, and such rare events really teach us a lot. So Corona itself has been a great teacher, and it has explained the value of Kavach or armor to us. So as we all wear masks, right, wash our hands regularly and maintain social distancing, we are actually creating a Kavach so that we protect ourselves from Corona. So the mask, which is one of the which has become a symbol in our lives, which acts as a Kavach, but it acts only at the physical level. Okay, but then I think let's go one step a little deeper. Is Corona a mere accident, or is there something in it for us to learn at the spiritual level, so that we can become better human beings? Any such drastic event, whenever it happens, there is always a reason, and God always provides us enough. Through these events, the essence of these events are need to be understood, so that we progress in our lives as so that we progress in our lives and become more more aware or more conscious in our lives. So, okay, at a materialistic or at a purely scientific level, coronavirus, as we all know, came from Wuhan, and basically from the slaughterhouses of Wuhan, or maybe from the Wuhan lab, who knows? And then of course the virus is supposed to have spread from animals to humans, because it's and then because of globalization and people traveling all over the world, it's spread to different parts of the world, making it a deadly pandemic. However, if you want to go a little further, right, a little deeper into the more into the more subtle level or the spiritual level, we will understand that coronavirus is actually the resultant effect of the loss of dharma in like today's society. When I'm saying today's society, I'm referring to Kali Yuga, because Kali Yuga has caused a loss of dharma. There is a saying in our shastras, "Dharmo rakshati rakshita." What does it mean? It means that those who are in those who protect dharma, or those who are in the path of dharma protects them, right? So it is which means that if you are not in the path of dharma, or if somebody is not following the right path of dharma, or the right or the path of righteousness, then there is no protection for that person. So similarly, coronavirus is a net result of loss of protection in our lives because of loss of dharma. Okay. Some of you might think, hey, what has coronavirus got to do with like dharma? Because it is merely a virus which is like spreading from like human contact, whatever, right? Okay. But the answer lies to that. There is answer to it, because the way the events have happened, and the way the events have unfolded, there is definitely a link to dharma, or religious or to righteousness. Now, coronavirus got created sometime last year in December, near about a time when the solar eclipse happened in December, and we all know many most of the planets came in the embrace of Rahu and Ketu, and then uh, and then the then the event became worse, because they were in this Kal Sarpe kind of embrace for the next 5 to 6 months, and all the planets were like inside, were hemmed between Rahu and Ketu, and Rahu and Ketu were controlling, because Rahu and Ketu represent are like chayagras, and they represent our karma. So Rahu and Ketu basically sucked out the energy, sucked out the power of these planets, including the luminaries, sun and moon, and we saw the effect, right? We saw the effect. The effect was, we have like all the aspects of our life were impacted, be it health, wealth, mind, finances, business, travel, right? Growth, everything got impacted, right? But the most important thing is, Guru was also in its own sign, right? Because this particular eclipse happened in the Mool Trikon sign of Guru, which is Sagittarius, and Guru was sitting there when this eclipse happened. So the moment Guru was sitting there, and then the eclipse happened, Guru, because Sagittarius or Dhanu is the Mool Trikon sign of Guru, which is the abode of Guru, or the qualities of Guru. Guru or Jupiter lost the power, and Guru, which like represents the grace of God, so the grace of God was lost. And once the grace of God was lost, this particular disease stayed. So we saw that the disease got like protracted, and there was no kind of intervention, or like divine intervention for a very long time. Now, hopefully, by God's grace, next year, 2021 should be a better year, because Guru has already changed the sign from like Sagittarius to Capricorn, and Rahu and Ketu have also changed their signs, right? So hopefully, next year should be much better year where we find the solution to coronavirus. However, I think today's topic is all about Kavach. I mean, of course, at some point of time, coronavirus will end, and hopefully after that, I mean, a few months from now or 1 year from now, we will. I mean, we will find a solution to coronavirus. But then there are some very very important lessons to be learned from from the coronavirus. The question which we need to ask ourselves is: do we need to go with our lives the same way, right? As we were before, with like purely living through our senses and purely for materialistic ends, or we take this opportunity to become better human beings, and so that we feel so that so that we feel more protected, and we're able, and to be able to use the divine power for our well-being and protection, right? So I think this is a question for like all of us. So that, I mean, whether you want to continue the old way or you want to become like better human beings, right? So this is the question which is going to be kind of thrown at us. I mean, once like corona subsides. Okay. So the first step towards becoming better human beings, right? So how do we? So when we are saying that, hey, we need to be better human being, we need to be better human being. So the first step towards is to be able to get the divine grace or the divine protection, or to activate our Kavach, because the Kavacham is the one which actually provides us the protection from malefic influences. Now, the concept of Kavach is not new, right? If you would have read, I mean, if like any of you would have seen Mahabharata, Ramayana, it's all about people wearing, the armor or the Kavach, and then there are different kinds of armor, right? So Karna was, if you remember Mahabharata, Karna was born with the divine armor of sun god, right? And then so it gave him complete protection, right? Till the time, of course, he kind of gave it away to Indra. But anyway, let's not go there. How do we? So when we are saying that, so Kavacham is kind of very very important in like today's world, so that we get the protection. I mean, how do we activate our Kavach, right? So there are 5 simple steps. The first thing which like needs to be done is to be able to realize that God is the supreme power, and then God has a supreme kind of um, God has a supreme authority about over everything in this current universe, right? So this is, I mean, to be able to I mean so the I mean so the first step is to kind of realize that we have something like that we have somebody like God who is controlling the entire universe, right? So this is the first step. The second step starts with the realization of our past mistakes, and then we kind of clean up our karmas, if any, right? So which means that any misdeeds we did in the past, knowingly or unknowingly, that has to be cleaned up. And so I mean, how do we do that? So if you read my blog, 19predictions.com, so there I have spoken about the 4 purusharthas, or so we have got four purusharthas: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Now most of the time in like today's world, people are engaged in artha, which is like generating money, and then kind of using that money on kama, or like fulfillment of desires. So it is all about artha and kama getting getting a circulation all the time, and very rarely the other houses of dharma and moksha are actually looked at. So it is important that we also look at activating the dharma and moksha houses of ours, so that and the planets which are in it, so that we get the overall benefic results, right? Um, okay. The next step is to be able to chant mantras and do meditation and pranayama. Now, now the why it is important to do meditation and pranayama, because these practices actually clean up your mind and mind and intellect. They clean up your thinking. They clean up your thinking, and then they kind of align the various chakras, nerve and blood and energy centers of our system. So because of once we chant these mantras and do the meditation, um, all these chakras, our nerve centers and blood, they all are in harmony, right? So once they are in harmony, so then our mind, our consciousness, everything becomes pure, and then we are ready. Then we are more aware. We are more willing to learn, right? So willingness to learn, willingness to explore things comes actually. Okay. The next step. So once we have a clean thought process, by means cleaning up our chakras and nerve and blood and blood and energy centers, then the next step is to kind of cultivate good habits to keep our body fit, because once your mind and your consciousness is clean, then it comes to your body, and then it's important that the person who he or she maintains a good lifestyle, right? Maintains a healthy lifestyle uh, by cultivating good habits, doing exercises, yoga, and then also taking healthy food. Okay. But there is one last step, right? So we are going in a sequence. So we spoke like 4 steps, but there is one last step. The last step is where astrology comes in. In this, so here what happens is that we need to observe the changes happening. The changes are happening in our lives. Changes happening in maybe uh, changes might be happening around us, or changes in the workplace, and whenever we kind of see the change, we should always refer it back to our own charts or horoscopes, so that we know what is the tattva or what is the guna which has suddenly started operating, right? So all this while you might be you might be rajasic, and then rajasic guna would be working in a nice way, but then suddenly because of some other placement of a graha. Now this same rajasic guna can actually become extremely difficult to handle, or and then you would fall prey to the rajasic guna. So by understanding these subtle changes and then correlating the same to the dashas and the overall chart and the transits, that's when we are constantly realizing that what is the kavach which we need, right? So because one are the disciplines which we'll need to follow, but astrological events, when you superimpose the astrological events, and then you take necessary corrections, so that the malefic effects are reduced and the benefic effects are like increased. That's when uh, you know we, that is the final step in the creation of the Kavach. Okay, now what happens with these 5 steps? With these 5 steps, every person in this planet will be able to realize the power of the divine, right? And then he or she will always get the protection from God, right? Which is the most important thing at this point of time. So that's all for today. Jai Shri Ram.